This is Town Hall, the 15th of May 2025, and it's the 77th anniversary of the Nakba rally. It's just starting to rain, so we'll see how it goes, but I thought it would be down by the steps. There's heaps of cops here. There's heaps and heaps of cops. A good number of people as well. I'm not sure where they're going to hold the speeches. They normally have it down the back, but it seems to be all up here at the front today, so maybe it'll be up on the steps, I don't know. Yeah, a good number of people, definitely. And yeah, let's see how it all goes.
Calvin.
I heard China throw force.
Yeah, but I couldn't see anywhere to verify. Did they?
This guy here.
Lead on the flag.
Yeah.
And more than 530 villages. My father, like those who were expelled in the first number, still carried the keys to the house around their neck in the hope that he could one day return. All Palestinians living in exile carry an unbreakable bond to our home. Uprooted much like our olive trees, we yearn to return. The pain of being exiled from a land that once threw your blood and anchors your soul is beyond words. It's a wound that never heals, and a longing that never fades. Our family that remain live under a brutal military occupation, whether it occupies Gaza, the West Bank, or East Jerusalem. They suffer the daily indignity of checkpoints, restrictions on freedom of movement, and arbitrary detention in a system of domination and oppression that Amnesty International considers to be the crime against humanity of apartheid. For Palestinians, the Nakba never ended. It lives on in our families, in our hearts, and in our homes. Justice for Palestinians cannot wait. We must demand an end to the Gaza genocide, to the unlawful occupation, and to the apartheid regime. Join us in our fight for freedom.
indigenous people resisting settler colonialism globally. Sovereignty was never ceded, and this always was and always will be Aboriginal land. I'm the granddaughter of 2 Palestinian refugees, Nakba survivors who were born in Live, Palestine. In 1948, my grandparents were subject to the largest expulsion of a Palestinian population from a city during the Nakba. Zionist militants entered my city Lid with the goal to clear and kill and to occupy our city. My grandparents described witnessing a massacre. No one was spared, not young, not old, not man, not woman. In the first day alone, 426 Palestinians were slaughtered. And this was at David Gurion's command, who ordered the removal of 50,000 Palestinians in our city by any means possible. These militias marched house to house and at gunpoint expelled Palestinians, forcing them to endure a deadly and long march to safety with nothing but their keys and whatever they could carry on their backs. If you sought shelter, you were massacred. Zionist terrorists targeted Palestinians during the death march and killed people who were being expelled by force. There was no safe place to go, because I hope we all know after witnessing over 20 months of genocide on our phones, Zionism offers no safety to Palestinians. This ideology in material practice wants Palestinian identity completely erased by any means necessary. The Nakba is a story of ethnic cleansing. It is a story of survival. It is a story of struggle. It is the story that marks the beginning of the Zionist genocide against the Palestinian people, but most importantly, it is a story of resistance. 77 years since the Nakba has not ended, but neither has our resistance against Zionism. So today, as we stand here, almost 20 months into a genocide, 77 years into Zionism's violence, we must reflect on where Israel stands and how we must continue the struggle. Right now, as we stand here today, Israel has been withholding all food and aid from entering the Gaza Strip for over 2.5 months. This is with the full support and backing of the US administration and of the new Australian Labor government, who has failed to intervene to stop the humanitarian disaster in Gaza. Israel has always used food as a weapon of war. This is how they imposed their siege on Gaza in 2008, as they counted how many calories were allowed to enter the Gaza Strip. And throughout the genocide, the Israeli occupation forces bombed farms, bombed bakeries, bombed livestock, bombed all food infrastructure to ensure the Palestinians could not be self-sufficient as they tried to eat and feed their children during this famine. And we ask, why is the Israeli occupation withholding food in this stage of the genocide? And it is likely to be for the full capitulation to ensure there is acceptance of a reoccupation of the Gaza Strip by Israel. Or it is a tool to force the over 2 million Palestinians to be forcibly removed into neighboring Arab countries. We already know the Israeli regime has made the decision that it will enter Gaza in full force. It will reoccupy the Gaza Strip, and it will ship out every single in the Gaza Strip. Our grandparents and our ancestors and the survivors of the Nakba, who we are commemorating today, taught us that we must resist against Zionism until complete liberation, until each and every one of us are granted our right of return to our homes, and it is our duty to continue to resist, to save and to protect the people of Gaza who are facing the worst humanitarian catastrophe I have ever witnessed in our lifetime. I'd now like to introduce our first speaker, Fouad Charidi. He's a survivor of the Nakba, born in Safsaf in 1939. Please give a warm welcome to Fouad.
Good evening. I am one of the few of the Nakba victims still survive, still alive. If you look deeply in my eyes, you will see Palestine. If you open my heart, you will see Palestine. Palestine is our homeland. Palestine is not a soil and sand, it is our homeland. Palestine is our land, our sky. It is our dream, which will never, never die. Your voices tonight will touch the bleeding hearts of the children of Gaza. Your solidarity to Palestinians will open a new horizon for hope and peace for all the Palestinian people. In the name of every child in Gaza, in Palestine, I will say thank you for your solidarity to Palestine. A Nakba is a wound that still bleeds. Before I start my speech, I would like to acknowledge the Aboriginal people, the real owner of this land where we're standing today. My name is Fouad Charidi. I am standing in front of you today as one of the few Nakba survivors in Sydney. I would like to thank you all for being here today. Your attendance is not simply a matter of support towards me personally, but a profound act of solidarity with every Palestinian. For everyone Palestinian whose voice has been silenced, every child is still trapped beneath siege and rubble, and every family is still waiting for justice that has been too long denied. Today, Nakba commemoration is not merely an act of remembrance. It is an urgent confrontation with a present-day reality that conflicts to unfold before the world's eyes. What began in 1948 continues as a sustained system of apartheid, military occupation and exile. Today, we are witnessing what can only be described as a second Nakba, but the world catastrophe does not capture the level of horror and devastation we are seeing today. I will make my speech shorter because I appreciate your efforts to come here to express your solidarity and sympathy with the Palestinian people. But thank you again. Let's absolutely be clear. This is not a war between equal forces. This is a brutal and violent occupation and ethnic cleansing. Some of the Zionists, they claim Palestine was a Jewish homeland. I can tell you something. In history, Jerusalem city being built 2,100 years before Moses was even born. We are there. We are not terrorists. We are not terrorists. We are peaceful people. They came, the Zionists, from 70 different countries. And every single one in what so-called Israel have two passports. The passport for the country where he came from and Israel. Before I come to Australia, I have no homeland, I have no passport. I came in Australia in 1971, and the first time I have something, a document to show my humanity, to show my identity. Australia is my second home. Even Benjamin Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of what you call Israel, his father was born in Poland. He wasn't a Palestinian. My grandfather is a Palestinian. Palestine will be free. One, two, three. Palestine will be free. 1, 2, 3. Palestine will be free. Thank you very much.
Very much, Fouad. Free! Free Palestine! Free! Free Palestine! Free! Free Palestine! Free! Free Palestine! 1, 2, 3, 4. We don't want your bloody war! 5, 6, 7, 8. Israel is a terrorist state! 1, 2, 3, 4. Occupation no more! 5, 6, 7, 8. Gaza we will liberate! Thank you again. My name is Damian. I'm one of the co-chairs today from the Palestine Action Group, and thanks as well to Amal, my co-chair, for the rally tonight to commemorate 77 years of Nakba. 77 years ago, the first act of genocide and terrorism that the Israeli state carried out happened. But the Nakba was not just a historical event that happened all that time ago. The Nakba, as we see very clearly today, never ended. It's been 77 years of genocide, dispossession and oppression of the Palestinian people, and that's why we come out on this day to say we will not be silent in the face of this oppression. While the media establishment and those in power in the world may turn a blind eye, may be silent, we will not be silent as Israel continues to carry out one of the most horrific genocides that history has ever seen. Just last night, 84 people in Jabalia refugee camp were murdered by the Israeli war machine. At least 53,000 Palestinians have been killed since October 2023. And everyone acknowledges that that number massively underestimates how many people have been killed. denying access to food to Palestinians in Gaza, using food as a weapon of war. There's 500,000 Palestinians who are on the brink of starvation right now in the Gaza Strip because of the warmonger Netanyahu. And most horrifying is the most recent announcement that Amal went through, that the Israeli cabinet has openly declared that they intend to carry out mass ethnic cleansing of the Palestinians from the entire north of Gaza. All of these things, by very definition, are war crimes under international law. And we know that Israel only gets away with the atrocities that it's carried out, not just over the last 2 years, but over the last 77 years, because of complicity and support from imperialist nations like the United States and Australia. We all remember at the outset of this genocide when Penny Wong said it was too difficult to tell from afar that denying people access to medical aid and food was a war crime. Well, is it enough now, Penny Wong, that Israel is openly declaring, they're not even hiding what they're doing. They're not even trying to make justifications. They've openly declared that they want to drive 2 million people from their homes. Is that enough for you yet to denounce Israel as a terrorist state? Terrorist states, but it's, like I said, only able to carry out these things with the support of countries like Australia and the United States. Albanese tries to claim that Australia is very far away from this issue. Bullshit! Australian companies sell arms to the Israeli war machine. And even though Albanese lied about it for the first 18 months of this genocide, it's now being shown that Australian government has been allowing the sale of lethal weaponry to Israel. This makes you just as complicit in the massacre of 50,000 people as Netanyahu and all the scum in the Israeli cabinet. And also I think that with the news of the last couple of days, we ought to call out shame on the governments of the Gulf nations that have toured Donald Trump, the biggest war criminal in the world, the biggest racist in the world, toured him around, paraded him, done deals with him, while he's selling all the guns and warplanes that allow Israel to slaughter Palestinians in Gaza. With that, I want to invite up our next speaker. I want to invite up Raneem Emad, who is a Palestinian student from UTS. She's from Gaza. Make her welcome. Give her a massive round of applause.
I want to begin by acknowledging the traditional owners on the land on which we stand today. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and I acknowledge that sovereignty was never ceded. As the genocide in Gaza rages on and we mark 77 years of its existence of the terrorist state that is Israel, we reaffirm our solidarity with our indigenous brothers and sisters who know all too well what colonialism and occupation look like, because they have experienced it and continue to experience it at the hands of our government. 77 years since the Nakba, since the official creation of the Israeli occupation that is created on and it continues to develop on the bones of Palestinians. And as we see this more than ever, we watch the evolution of the Israeli occupation upon the bodies and the blood of more and more Palestinian children. It is hard to feel like every day is not another Nakba. That every day is not another catastrophe that threatens to consume us whole. As we mark the second Nakba under this Israeli genocide, it is a struggle to remember a time when every moment was not marked with such spectacular violence. As a Palestinian with family in Gaza, who has been to Gaza 10 months before this genocide started, and who is continuously losing family in Gaza to this genocide, every waking moment feels like a Nakba upon a Nakba, a catastrophe upon a catastrophe. Just yesterday, we received news that extended family members in Jabalia had been killed by this bombardment. These are family members who, in the very fleeting ceasefire earlier this year, sent us videos of them returning back to Jabalia and discovering what remains of their home. They returned back back to their homes thinking that they had survived against this genocide, only to be bombed to the ground and slaughtered. My family in Nusayrat in central Gaza are facing the increasing famine as we mark day 74 without any food entering Gaza. Every day they lose friends, they lose co-workers, they lose their loved ones, and a lot of them, they are accepting that they will become a martyr too. A lot of them are telling me that it is not a matter of if, but when they will be killed. Every day is worse. Every day the bombing grows closer. Every day the resources become more and more scarce as they starve to death. And these stories, they are not unique. If my people are not being killed by the relentless bombardment, they are being slowly starved to death. If they are not being starved to death, they are being left to die painfully with injuries because there is no aid entering Gaza. And as if all of that wasn't enough, they are being tortured to death in Israeli death camps. Today marks day 133 of Dr. Hussein Abu Safiya being taken hostage by the Israeli military. And every report that comes out about his condition is worse. Every story as to his situation is more and more haunting, and he is not alone. Just under a week ago, more footage from the death camp that is Damian came out of the fate of the Palestinian hostage who was gang raped and tortured. And we saw no international condemnation. We saw no outrage, no mass anger at these blatant violations of international law. No government stood against it. Absolutely nothing happened. We also saw the horrific assassination of Hassan Sleh, a Palestinian journalist who was renowned for his advocacy. Hassan was killed as he lay in the burn units of Naser Hospital. He was injured in previous bombing, and the Israeli occupation used it, as he predicted, to target him again and kill him. And if this story could not be any more horrific, the very next day, Israel targeted and killed a 12-year-old witness who was a part of his investigation. Shame. And again, did we see absolutely any international response? Did we see any condemnation, any sanctions, any form of anger at this terrorist state of Israel? We saw absolutely nothing, and we saw nothing because Palestinian lives do not matter to this world. They are collateral damage. They are insignificant. free Palestine. The Australian Greens Parliamentary Deputy Leader, Dr. Raneem Emad, stands for solidarity and strength for all. Do not believe the hype when they say that the Greens made an error standing in solidarity with Palestine. Because we tell you that we did not do it for electoral benefit. We did not do it because it was a popularity contest. We did it because we know it is the morally right thing to do. To stand up and because we know that it is unacceptable for the Australian government to be complicit in a genocide. We know that it is unacceptable for the Australian government to be complicit in the deliberate starvation of a peoples. And we know that the Prime Minister and the Foreign Minister and all the members of their government are hoping that we will now be silent. But I can tell you that while this genocide continues, while the second Nakba occurs, I say to you all that we will continue to stand in strength and defiance for a free Palestine. I want you to know that we are here together in our thousands and in our millions, as everybody has said. We are all Palestinians because the struggle for justice, the struggle against the powerful forces that back in the Zionist agenda, the powerful forces and the powerful corporations that back in the global national arms trade deals and the arms trade profits continues. And we know that at the end of the day, there is not an excuse for a child to be dying of malnutrition and starvation when trucks of food aid sit just hundreds of meters away. And so, can I say, on this anniversary, 77 years after the Nakba, that all must know that history did not start on the 7th of October 2023. We know that Palestinians were displaced in larger numbers than ever 77 years ago, and that ongoing displacement has continued. Can I say that the struggle for justice will continue, that the Greens will not go silent in standing up in support of a free Palestine, no matter how loud, how litigious, and how angry the Zionists get, because we know that we tonight